Fight Night, Leon Edwards versus Sean Brady. We just saw one of the most dominating performances in a main event by Sean Brady, absolutely dominating Leon Edwards. We're going to get into the main event. We're going to get into the rest of the main card and get through all of the main talking points. But guys, what a dominating performance by Sean Brady. I regard him as one of the best welterweights in the world. He has one loss on his record to Bilal Muhammad, one that I was, very disappointed by, because Sean Brady, to me, I proclaimed him as essentially a future champion. His skill set, his profile as a fighter is one that is very, very dynamic, one that is very difficult to deal with. And in that particular fight, he was off. He's built himself back off impressive performances off the likes of Gilbert Burns, and he's essentially found a way to come back and show his skill set and show how good he is, and he's refined himself. He's spoken about how he's come back into his own, and this was a fight where, I mean, man, so impressive. Leon Edwards, we know, has come off a very difficult spell in terms of losing the title, and now, coming back, this was a fight where he was thinking, I would come back and show what I can do. It was going to be very, very difficult. He was an underdog in this fight, and for many it would be surprising, the former champion being an underdog. However, Sean Brady is very difficult to deal with, and I think he showed the best version of himself in this fight. It was, to me, his most impressive performance, but not entirely surprising. He is super aggressive. Not only is he aggressive, but he's very, very good on the ground. High level jiu-jitsu, high level wrestling, an absolute dog. You see in his profile, very stocky, very small, but with that comes, the advantage in a number of different areas. And the stand-up would be where Sean would have to show his aggression, would have to show his fight, and he was more than proficient. You could see in the total strikes, a lot of them on the ground, but again, on the feet, he was more than holding his own. Leon Edwards only got in a number of strikes through the 4 rounds. I think in round 2, Sean came out really fast, got Leon down very, very quickly. And round 3, Leon actually put himself in a position to cause some damage to Sean, but tried to go for a takedown, and that takedown was, the end of the fight. I think it was already early signs in round 1, which was dominating. Round 2, which was absolute complete domination. And then round 3, it looked like Leon may have a little bit of something, then got dominated. Round 4, Sean's coaches actually said that Leon looked essentially like he was broken. He was there for the taking, and he was broken. Sean locked in the guillotine choke. Absolutely amazing. The squeeze that he had applied to Leon was second to none. It just shows how good he is. And again, so annoying that he put up the performance that he did against Bilal, taking nothing away from Bilal. I just don't think Sean put the best version of himself forward in that fight. For Leon, what can you say? It's the beginning of the end. And that may be premature, but I mean, how many people are able to climb that mountain once again? And if you're not climbing that mountain, what are you doing? You're essentially, maybe doing some money fights, some legacy fights, but those are few and far between. UFC are all about building up the next fighter, the next big thing, and you will be used to build up that next big thing. And today it was, Sean Brady, who, congratulations for the matchmaking and, the last minute adjustment. I think sometimes this is where fighters need to be a bit smarter with what they've been preparing for and what they're looking to fight. JDM, who Leon Edwards was meant to fight, is a completely different style matchup than a Sean Brady, and Sean Brady is one of the best welterweights in the world. So again, fighters, it's not the same as boxers. You want to put on a show, definitely, but this is a very difficult opponent to come up against. And, again, nothing against Leon. He climbed that mountain. A lot of time has been spent climbing that mountain, not only in the fights that he's taken, but also in the waiting that he has had to do to, get into the position to get those fights where his win streaks were exceedingly high, but the UFC weren't putting him in the position to fight for the title, and eventually he worked his way to that. Now it's a difficult position for him to be in, if I'm being honest with you. Sean Brady will be number 1 ranked, number 2 ranked, but he deserves to be there. After Bilal faces JDM, it's going to be a decision about Brady versus Bilal, or Shavkat versus Bilal. Hopefully it's Shavkat. He does deserve it, but Brady's put himself in the hat, and after this performance, one of the most impressive performances in recent history, if they put him ahead of Shavkat, I'm not going to be complaining, because that was very, very good, but very different in terms of style. Styles make fights, and Brady and Bilal are a lot closer than Leon Brady. So again, that's something that needs to be taken into consideration. But yeah, for Leon, if he wants to climb that mountain, it's going to be a difficult mountain to climb. More contenders are coming, more impressive fighters are coming. And for Brady, listen, he's done the hard work. He stepped in short notice and has delivered the goods as impressively as anybody can. So dominating. There's nothing else I can really say. Impressive. We had Jan versus Carlos Ulberg, and this was a fight that was a little bit of a nothing fight, in the sense that both fighters were aggressive, yes, but it was a little bit of give and go. You give me a couple punches, I give you another punch. There was no dominating factor or moment in this fight. I will say I'm in agreement with the result. I did think Olberg did edge it. Jan was aggressive, did take the center in the beginning of the fight, namely in round one. Olberg was moving around, was evasive, but was still getting his punches in, and then took control in the latter rounds to a little bit of a degree. Wouldn't say it was anything major. For Carlos Olberg, he puts himself in a very, very good position to fight the best in the light heavyweight division. He's gone through Jan, which many have failed against. Own, campmate, when Izzy went for the title, failed against Jan. That wasn't his position. He was able to win, and congratulations to him. Now it will be moving on, and if Ankalaev is the champion now, you have Yuri Prohaska, you have the likes of Jamal Hill, who's already booked. Olberg versus Yuri, if we get the Ankalaev Pereira rematch, could be a very interesting fight as well. So interested in both. Congratulations to Olberg, but nothing really impressive outside of getting the win against such a very, very good fighter. Next up, Gunnar Nelson versus Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland getting the victory again, a decision victory. I do agree with. Gunnar Nelson was game for periods of the fight, but Kevin Holland overall was more impressive, as more active. The varying skill set, was good on the ground, was good on the feet. And again, he shows why he continues to get booked. He's an entertaining fighter. He knows how to put on entertaining fights, and him and Gunnar put on an entertaining fight. Nothing that will blow your socks off, but again, something that was a good watch. And again, good win for Kevin Holland. He's here for the money fights. He said that time and time again, and he will be put on another card to put on a good show, whether to build someone else up or to fill out a card, and that's the position for him now. But yeah, good performance from him, and one to keep his stock relatively high. We'll talk about Molly McCann losing and retiring. Tayanara with an absolutely impressive performance. What a character she is. Walked into the octagon dancing, and she left it dancing. She won the fight. And listen, this is someone that was very, very entertaining. I didn't know what to expect first time watching her. I had been on Dana White's Contender Series, I believe, but coming into this fight, she was my, favorite. Molly McCann hasn't been impressive. I think she's lost before this. I think 4 of her last 5. This was 5 of her last 6. And she's got a very limited style. Her stature doesn't, help when you pair it with her kind of game plan and what she's actually able to do. And Tayanara was more dominating, got her to the ground and finished off with a Rene choke. She was proficient on the ground, on the feet. I want to see more of Tayanara. Absolutely interesting character, to say the least. But Molly McCann does retire. And again, she was game for a good fight. Never in the realms of fighting for a title. No bad word to say about Molly McCann. Good fighter, put up some good fights, but again, I think the division has moved on, and she was graceful enough to move on with it. We'll look at some of the final fights. Duncan winning against Vucinic. This was a fight that was really impressive. I haven't seen both too many times. I've seen Vucinic maybe once or twice, Duncan maybe once, apart from this. And Duncan was really, really good. He looked like he was going to get the finish earlier on in the fight, wasn't able to get it. Vucinic had come back into the fight, but Duncan again was able to finish it. We got another guillotine choke here, and again, looking forward to seeing some of his other fights. This was a really good fight between two of Britain's up and coming in the division. And Duncan, who has only lost once, I believe, in the UFC, and Vucinic, who has been, you know, one of the up and comers and a former Cage Warriors champion, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, really good fight, and I think one of the better fights through the overall card. One of my favorite fighters from Britain, and I'll be honest, overall, is Nathaniel Wood. A great performance by him, and again, he to me is someone who needs to be going up against some of the best in the division, the top 15, top 10. He's such a good fighter. Again, has a diminutive stature for the division, but is so strong. Comes in with a really well-rounded skill set. Very proficient on the feet, very proficient on the ground, and do a little bit of everything. And this was a fight which I think he actually dominated. His opponent was game, don't get me wrong, but Nathaniel Wood is one of the best from Britain. Do not get that mistaken. And I want to see him go up against some of the best. Really want to see him have a fight against the best up and comers in the division, and also people who are ranked. Let's get him a ranked fight if we can in the UFC. So guys, that was the main card. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Main talking point from the card will be the absolutely dominating victory for Sean Brady. What is next for Leon Edwards? Make sure to like, comment and subscribe. I want to hear what you guys think. I'll talk to you soon. It's been EDA. Peace.